with us and then share it with you all. So Dr. Brown, he is a retired agricultural economics professor from Rhode Island. Am I right?
That's where I am now. And I'm originally a Connecticut farm boy. My dad was a farm manager from Rhode Island.
Okay.
I was raised on dairy farms and mostly apple orchards.
Okay.
And then I was an agronomy major at UConn, and then did graduate work in ag economics at Cornell and Iowa State, PhD.
That's right.
I was a professor. I was interested in low income situations and international developments. So I was with the University of Tennessee the longest, also Iowa State program in Peru, and Texas A&M a couple of years. I was a long time in Asia with Malaya, Indonesia, Pakistan, did work backstopping India, also
Okay.
Peru. So I was in about 25 developing countries. And then I retired to Rhode Island and have been involved in several groups here, conservation groups, planning. This has been good for me. Feedback.
I'm for sure getting everything.
Yeah, go ahead. There was some student that was unmuted. I muted them, so that's fine. Go ahead, please.
Anyway, I wanted to say I'm pleased to, this has been good for me to get refreshed on Ohio. My wife was from Ohio, Athens, and she went to Oberlin, and I know a lot of people at Ohio State from our work in India and elsewhere. So it's we're brushing up on what's happening in your part of Northeast Ohio, especially. And there are a lot of analogs to here in Rhode Island. You in Worcester are sort of like I am near Newport, which is a town of about 20, 30. We're on an island, you're in the middle of the hinterlands, but you have a bigger city nearby like Akron, which is equivalent to our Providence, which is a city about 200,000, about 40 miles away. Okay. Then yonder more, you have Cleveland, which is analogous to our Boston. And so we have influences indirectly from Boston. As Boston gets bigger and so on, people are spreading out to Providence, and even down here, we have some commuters going there and so on.
Oh, wow, okay.
But but differences is that land is very expensive here. We're just on a small little islands and so on. I was looking up land values, and so you have more extensive land there than we do. And so one of the patterns you're going to see here is that what used to be dairy farms and pastures and potatoes have gone into more intensive vegetables and specialties, and even value-added types of things like having entertainment on farms and things of this sort. Could happen out your way too. I was thinking that the era of vast field crops and so on may not be so much there in the future. I don't know. That's something to discuss. So today I'm going to give you a few examples of farmers whom I know, farm-based businesses. And as you see, there's a lot of value-added type things that are far beyond farming, like having weddings and things like this on some of these farms. And the focus today, I thought, would be if you were visiting some of these farmers, what would be the questions you would ask to find out more about them? What is the future viability? They've made a lot of adjustments in the past away from field crops and things. Coming out of the coronavirus and beyond, are they still going to be viable? And what would be some of the relevant factors I was thinking would be to get into? And then as a backdrop, maybe be thinking about the broader changes in patterns in your region in the future. Are the markets going to be emerging from Cleveland and Akron, or could be a broader part of a swath of the Northeast? There are things happening out west. A lot of our veggies and things are coming all the way from California now, but maybe with droughts and high priority on the urban uses of water out there, that will change. I don't know. Maybe have you talked about that, Dr. Sugul, with how there could be maybe a northeastern or an eastern corridor for food self-reliance more than we've had in the past? I don't know, but this is in the back of our mind.
That's a good question. In our class, we have mostly stuck to Ohio for the most part. That is what the students are interested in. And our students have come from not just Northeastern Ohio, they come from all parts of Ohio as well. But most of our emphasis has remained in Ohio as of now. But you know, your experiences and your examples today will be a very good way for them to know what is happening outside of Ohio. And you already mentioned value-added agriculture, and that is especially important in a place like Rhode Island, in a place like, you know, like a sea coast where land is pretty expensive. Did you mention that land is more expensive or less expensive in Ohio compared to Rhode Island?
Well, no, if you were going into our part, near the metro and so on, you're talking $100,000 an acre and that kind of thing, because they're largely urban. And one way, but going into Western Rhode Island, into Connecticut, we have a lot of woods. That's one difference. A lot of woodland. And by the way, woods can be productive too and a source of income. So that would be cheaper. But I was looking up some of your land values. You talk what, $10,000 an acre?
Yeah.
Of that order.
Yeah, in that range.
Yeah, here it'd be, that wouldn't be possible on our island. Maybe over in Eastern Connecticut, Western Rhode Island, where there aren't too many people, there's woods and so on.
Yeah, sure. So anyways.
And by the way, the backdrop is that this, where I'm sitting exactly, is a 1600, it was a farm in the 1600s, one of the founders of Rhode Island. And we used to be the bread belt of the U.S. And then it moved west to where? The Mohawk Valley and in upstate New York, and headed west to Ohio and yonder more, right? So you find in our woods a lot of stone walls, what used to be pastures and fields.
Okay.
And of course, that may someday happen to you folks. What is now rural may not always be that way too. Anyway, I'll get on to some examples here. I put together 13 examples of farmers I've known from different groups over the time. And 2 of these are dairy farms. I thought I'd start with Louis Escobar's farm here. And I think, do they have this so they could, if they want to press onto a website, they could get more details?
Yeah, they have access to this document, but you can also click and it will open up on your screen and we will be able to see as you show the website. So please feel free to...
I didn't want to clutter it up too much. Let's see what happens here if it shows up. Yeah, there's Escobar's Highland Farm. What do you see? You don't see dairy cows showing. It's what is that down here? That's your it's a corn maze. It's a field. You see the green? Are you showing?
Did you share only did you share your screen or did you share your document?
What are you seeing now?
I'm seeing just the same PowerPoint slide where you clicked on that Escobar's farm. That's what is showing for me.
Yeah, I think I'd better now what did I do? Whoops, I've got to move you all.
Can you close on the top, you see that small minus sign. If you close it, it will minimize this bar and we will be able to see.
Yeah, I don't think I should get into, oops, here we go again. Let me try again. Here we go.
Okay.
Can you see that?
Not yet. You have to click on share screen.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, that's why I think I better stick with, where's my share screen? No,
at the bottom, green color box, either bottom or at the top of the window.
Yeah. Okay. I think, are you seeing it now?
We are seeing your
the 13
PowerPoint slideshow.
Yeah, and are you seeing the 13 farms?
Yes, we are seeing all those links. So you can.
Yeah, I think I better stick to that, and then if you more or after, we can do that because it gets a little tricky to bring them 13 up.
Sure,
so let me start with the 2 dairy farms. At the top, you see Monroe Dairy and Escobar. Louis Escobar, we're on an island about 20 miles long. He's at about 5 or 6 miles something north of here, and I'm down near Newport. And he's a dairy farmer near us, and he has about 50, 100 cows only over the years, and he's one of his trademarks. He knows every cow by whether it's having an off day or not, whether it should get more feed or not. And he knows every neighbor. That's one of his, he makes a point of meeting every new neighbor, because cows stink sometimes and they get loose in their yards. And so he's got them so he's a genuinely likable guy. And so that's, so instead of fussing at him every time a cow gets loose, they're with him. And one of the things he does is puts on the 4th of July show of the town is on his farm. The poor cows jump up and down, don't like it, but that's where people come for the 4th of July. And now he has a corn maze as a value-added thing, put a whole hillside, and lots of people in the fall come there. And he has nieces and nephews. One's into raising dogs, another one is raising Christmas trees. So they've been a part of the community. But he's getting old, he's in a wheelchair now, and it's not clear what's going to happen next. And I notice his farmyard now is looking a little, it's kind of in a little valley, getting a little, some newcomers might think it looks a little messy, kind of a thing. So question about the future there, huh? Monroe Dairy doesn't have cows of its own. It's up near Providence, and its trademark, it delivers milk in the old type little trucks that used to see Divco. It gets its milk from eastern Connecticut, 3 or 4 farms, kind of middle-sized dairy farms in eastern Connecticut, processes it near Providence, delivers all over the state and into Massachusetts. And but it's not like it comes to every street. A truck might come down here, and one truck might cover Newport in one day. So it charges a little extra price, but it has very loyal customers. And people, and now I notice, if you look on the website, they're delivering things besides milk and cream. There's eggs and some other kinds of products. So this gets an interesting question. Maybe after coronavirus, they're really up to their ears in deliveries now. You couldn't even get on their list. And so one question is, will maybe this pattern carry over after coronavirus? So people liking to have things delivered. And maybe the future for a group like Monroe Dairy could actually be quite strong. I don't know. That would be something to think. So those are the 2 dairy farms I brought out.
That's a good one. So shall I ask you a couple of quick questions? So if I understand it right, the Escobar farm, they are kind of emphasizing that they are part of the community, July 4th fireworks, and a family operations that has both like a dog breeding operation, Christmas tree, along with dairy farms. That's what you mentioned.
Yes.
So now so being a part of the community is very critical for their continued business success. Would you say that?
Yes, they don't do it just for PR. It's a genuine, it has to be genuine. Good. And everybody likes Louis. His wife, by the way, she did artificial insemination. You don't have many bulls around here and all these small farms here in Rhode Island and Massachusetts. So she was the artificial inseminator for this whole region.
Yeah.
And they're both getting old now.
Yeah, that's another point. You mentioned that they are getting older, and that means the farm transition has to happen. The exit plan. So that is something that we generally talk about in this class. But due to lack of time and due to the distance education right now, we are not doing those things. So what can you tell us about this type of transition? We were a small farm. We started out small. Now it was like a lifestyle business. Now they need to move on. What are we going to do with the business at that time? What are some things that you have seen with the people that are planning to retire or planning to change careers and move on?
Yeah, well, some of the other farms that I have today are examples of going from one generation to the next. So that's a relevant question that I would ask Escobars at this stage, right? And then it has also to do with the land trust. What we have a lot of attention here on the island. One way to enable farmers to continue is not just having another generation, but having affordable access to affordable land. And with the high values here, one way we do it is special tax concessions for farm land in that town. And secondly, land trusts buy development rights. In other words, a farm can either donate or sell development rights to their farm to a land trust. And you may have in your town plan or your county plan that this is going to be a farming area, but if some big real estate type comes in, they can kind of press for that to become a subdivision or something, right? So a land trust will put what they call an extra layer of legal protection in addition to what the town and the state have, so that and so for foregoing the right to have his farm developed, a farmer may get compensation for having given up his development rights. As you know, land property is a bundle of rights, and he's giving up one of that part of that bundle is the right to have it go into a factory or subdivision. But that's the way to keep open space, and it's a big value here in the island to have kind of be able to mingle with farms and have that next to your place and so on.
Yeah, that's a good point. We did have one speaker about in the month of February, I believe, Mr. Barry Ward, and Dr. Barry Ward actually from Ohio State University. He was talking about taxes and its implications. And you just mentioned about the tax implications of having land, and passing it from one generation to another generation can really result in a really big estate tax, gift tax, and those kind of taxes that businesses have to take care of as well. That's a very important point. Before I ask my next question, are there any questions from the students? You are welcome to type in the chat box. Any questions? Feel free to ask if you have questions. Now, let me continue with my next question, that is Monroe Farms. You mentioned that they process liquid milk. And recently, the price of liquid milk went down significantly. Now, that can really create a lot of issues. So have you seen anything among the dairy farmers that they have done in terms of value addition so that they don't have to deal only with liquid milk? We have one of the student teams that work on processing milk into butter. And Amish area where we live in, so the students are interested in processing it into butter, like a value-added flavored butter. So have you seen those type of value additions in the milk industry?
Not so much in the of the butter and creamery so much. I should say ice cream. There's some specialized, if people want to go for a day's trip, they can go to another part of our county that's very over toward Massachusetts, and they often will stop at Gray's Ice Cream, which is a historic corner, and it has and that's a go-to point. And while they're down there, they can drive near farms. They may go to there may be in the fall, there may be squashes and pumpkins and all that kind of thing. There may be a greenhouse for floral things. So I know that doesn't sound like big business, but it can. What used to be, that's one kind of a value added, but not as a big. We're not like upstate New York. You would think traditionally upstate New York is where they're making yogurt and things of that sort. We're not in Rhode Island. You wouldn't find that kind of a thing much at all, I don't think. Okay. So they've turned in other directions. I'm showing Escobar here. Is this, do you want on the screen? I was going to show you another example, Maplewood Farm. What do you see?
You can click on Maplewood, but we are still seeing only your slide.
Yeah, okay. Well, I want to just mention Maplewood. That's not too far from Louis Escobar in Portsmouth. This was a farmer who had potatoes. We had a lot of potatoes here, and they were selling not just any old potatoes. These were for potato chips, Cape Cod potato chips, which is kind of a differentiated product. It's regarded as kind of a special potato chip. So he got old, and then his daughter who was in Massachusetts. She came and she was going to, they were thinking to sell the farm, but she ended up taking over the farm in the 80s, about 30 years ago. Judy, I think she was in church work. She might have even been a nun. And so she came and she had some friends from Massachusetts, and what she has done is turn that Maplewood farm into kind of almost a 3 seasons a year, selling it at farmers markets. And you would think that's just piddly, but apparently it's added up. And so they have like, I think 30 some odd acres now of the 100 and some odd into like greenhouses, veggies, and specialty potatoes, not just any old potatoes. If you go to the farmer's market where she has a booth, you'd have little red ones and all these kinds of things. And flowers, sunflowers, you wouldn't think that would be much, but people like to buy sunflowers for decorations and hotels and lobbies and things like that. So there's an example with another generation, but she doesn't have any heirs. So there comes again, what happens next? And let's see, what's another generation? Oh, you want something that's really different? How about a compost? Oh, you put that up, did you? Maplewood is showing.
Need to do something.
No, what are you seeing on the screen?
We are seeing only your PowerPoint slide.
Oh, okay. I pressed something here wrong. Sorry. Okay, take a look down here at Earth Care Farm, and Earth Care is across off the island in the west, and down near the University of Rhode Island in Kingston, what we call South County, and down toward Connecticut a little more. Earth Care, Mike, what do you think he's producing? He's kind of a dumping ground for all the he's gotten into the compost business. He's in what's mainly woods, kind of a clearing in the woods with a few acres. And so it isn't just leaves and veggie kind of things. It's fish down near the coast. We have fisheries and shellfish and all that. And so there's a lot of leftovers, stinky leftovers. So they bring things there. And if you look on his website, he doesn't just heap it up. He has to stir it up with big equipment to keep it an aerobic process. You know what I mean by an aerobic? That means it needs oxygen in it. Otherwise, it's not going to. So that's turned into quite an operation. And then, like from Newport, it might even bring over food waste. They're starting to do things like a truck actually making money going around to restaurants and picking and stores and picking up food waste and bringing it to Mike's place. And Mike he's still active twice, but his daughter has taken over that. And it's quite a technology, but they don't just, and again, they have to try to keep the odors down and so on, but sometimes it can be objectionable. So they haven't gotten into a lot of community outlets, like teaching kids how to take care of gardens and prepare food. It's sort of a community center in the middle of the woods. And again, they don't do it just for PR. It's being kind of a part of the community, even though it's a good size operation. And so that's another example, like Louis Escobar, community relations. And another example where a second generation has come along. We have some farms that have actually gone like 6 generations, going way back from the 1800s. And I don't guess you'd have that so much here, but there's been this thing of trying to carry on things that way. Which kind of farm would interest you more? We have a couple of sod farms, turf farms over that way near Mike's. They're quite big operations. And then we have a couple of historic farms, which could fit into your Amish. The Watson Farm in Casey. One's on an island where couples, they're a historic association of New England of farms. So it's an opportunity for like a married couple to kind of the caretakers of the historic farm, but they also are community. You know what a CSO is? It's a community. That's where people buy rights for vegetables and so on for the season. So these two historic farms have both become kind of community event centers along with it. Nobody's getting really rich at it, and yet they have a I would, you know, a nice life, a hardworking life, but it's a kind of they're part of the community. So we have two examples of those. And I got thinking maybe in the future.
Just a quick question. So Earth Care, you mentioned that they use fishery waste to process the compost, to produce compost. And in case of KC Farm, they are using the CSA. You already mentioned that they are unable to, they cannot become rich by doing that. But then in case of Earth Care, will they be able to sell it for a higher price because it has different types of materials, the fishery waste that go into it? Are they charging a premium price for their products?
Oh, the Earth Care, yeah. They're bagging it up and selling it that way with, you might say, farm outlets around the state. And if you look in their website, they talk about you can come there and get it in bulk. So it's a higher quality than you would find a lot of places. Some other farms here, like one near us, let's say raises nurseries materials. They take leaves, fall leaves that are collected from the towns and so on, and then it becomes compost. I think Earth Care, it isn't just fish. They have to mix it, as you see on the website. It has quite an educational page about if somebody wants to go into compost. It's one of the most educational pages. It has to do with carbon nitrogen ratios. My chemistry is very rusty, but so if they get too much fish stuff and not enough of woody type compost or that kind of thing, then you get too much nitrogen and not enough of carbon, so on. So it's a very refined process. Whereas some of the other composters, I would say, they not quite so much that way. So I believe they command a higher price than might be possible elsewhere by some other places.
Good. So we have one or two teams that are working on event management, putting together marriages and events for different companies and individual people. So do you have any of those kind of examples on this screen right now?
Of wedding, you mean wedding events and that kind of thing? Yeah, I left out that we have two wineries, and I left those out near here, but they are just within a mile or two or three of mine, and that's part of what they have is offer weddings and so on. One is on a main road, and so that kind of fits the scene. There's another one that's off on the overlooking a bay in a quiet neighborhood, kind of one of the where the land trust has preserved land. There, the neighbors, it gets into neighbors when there's some pushbacks about having weddings on a farm that's part of the surroundings of people who have fairly high value houses and woods and walkways, that trails. So all of a sudden you have a big loudspeaker for wedding and music, and you have parking all over the place. So actually in our town, there's actually been turning down some permits to do that kind of a thing. So that's one thing to take into account when people are, if you're kind of on the main track where there's kind of a hubbub anyway, maybe not so serious.
Yeah, that's a really good point. One of the teams is working on event management, and I believe they are based in a rural location. So probably these type of, sound issues like noise issues or parking issues will not affect them, hopefully. That's my understanding, I guess. But, we have to be very cognizant of these type of issues, but because they can really affect where we are going to locate our business. And that is the lesson for that group, I think. Do you have any examples of floral businesses? I see a couple of nurseries somewhere, I guess, on this sheet. So how common it is Or let us say that if there is a business here in Ohio, they produce flowers, will they be able to sell it in Rhode Island? Will they be able to sell it in Boston? What are the business issues that they will face? Will they be able to brand it somehow? Or what can you say about the perishability? That's what I'm going for, I guess. Flowers are highly perishable. After a few days, it will not survive. It will not be that
Right,
fresh.
right.
So
And
what have you seen in your area to avoid perishability?
let's see. This is let's see which one. Well, actually, the Maplewood is much into the flowers. Um, I think. Well, let's see. Here's one. Flowers, Wishing Stone. There's some over here at Wishing Stone. It's down on the east side more, and there's quite a few small greenhouse and what used to again be potato farmers and dairy have gone into that kind of thing. Flowers along with, and I guess it comes with seasons. They're trying. Quite a few are going into trying to have 3 seasons a year. So you might start with and so what they call high tunnel, what used to be called greenhouses, but not made of glass, but made of plastic, right? High hoops. And the USDA NRCS is pushing this. So we have quite a few who are putting these greenhouses on, which are high hoop plastic. So that with some heat. And there's one over here that's using solar for the heat. And so that enables them to raise both flowers and some specialty like tomatoes and things like that in more seasons of the year. And with the distances to Providence being like 40, 50 miles away and Boston 90 miles away, it has to do with, they're not talking about preserving flowers so much as it's kind of getting a delivery system going, I think. And with how much waste there is, I don't know. I think that's a relevant question.
Yeah.
So
that's a really good point. The distance and so 40 miles, going 40 miles versus going 90 miles is a totally different thing. So many of our student plans, they are focusing anywhere from say 20 to 30 to say all the way up to 100, 150 miles like that. So the students have to really think about how far they can go and how many people live in that area and how many of them can really become their customers. And they also have to understand the seasonal nature of the business. Weddings, there will be a lot more weddings in the summer months, say compared to the winter and other times. So we have to account for the seasonality and hopefully they considered that while they calculated their revenues. So these are some important lessons, and this is applicable in Rhode Island and it is also applicable in Ohio. That's my take on that.
I would think so. Here's one, let me mention Jim and Michelle Garman, the Garman Farm. And again, they have just like 5 acres. He, by the way, was a university instructor, and they just decided to do this. And so our land trust has maybe places like 20, 30 acres, but they and some of the other operators, I would say, kind of piddle at farming more. But this couple is into it in a strong way. And what they do is at the beginning of the season, rather than just growing whatever they think might sell, they go around to the restaurant people and to other and garden shop and say, what do you want us to produce this year? What kind of vegetables or flowers or whatever? So what some people used to call overseas demand-led development. And where you go and see what the demand is going to be, and then and even down to what varieties you want, and say, okay, we'll raise it, rather than just trying to grow anything and then hope you can sell it. So that would be the trademark of Jim Michelle Garman. And also they're using nature-friendly methods. Not exactly organic, but they're trying to keep it pretty close to keep from using too many too much fertilizer and so on unnecessarily. People are getting very sensitive to that kind of thing here. I don't know, out there in Ohio the same way.
Yeah, it mostly in the urban areas, you can say that type of an attitude. People want to eat with products that have less chemicals. That is a really good thing that the people are going for. And it's interesting to note that Jim and Michelle Gorman, they are growing only what the customers want. And that way the market is assured. And that is another nice way to say progress with your business development. Rather than just sticking to what you have to offer, you are going to ask the customers whether they want it. And if they want it, then you will grow them and take it to, say, to the market. So that is another nice way to do that, I think. So there is one team within our class that focus on slaughterhouses. It's a mobile slaughterhouse. So if they are going to go to the farmers, farmers may have specific needs. So if the students are able to communicate with the farmers and ask them what type of things do you want to process, and that way they can design their business, and that way they will be able to provide the services in a much quicker and more effective manner, and it will be a more profitable business as well. That's the take on that. So Dave, just a quick thing. So let me quickly take the control of the screen and share a few websites that you sent earlier so that I can highlight a few things that we already discussed about. Is that okay with you?
Yep, it's better you do that. Fine.
Okay, good. So can you please, okay, I can share this.
Want me to leave? Shall I leave the?
I will share the screen. So right now you should be seeing my screen. Am I right?
Yep, I'm seeing weddings. Yeah, Newport Vineyards.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this is a link that you sent me a while ago.
Right.
And so I thought, hey, you know what? Maybe it is nice for me to kind of see how they have done it. The primary reason I am bringing this up here is I actually gave an assignment to the students saying that I would like them to create a web page. And this is a really good example of a web page. And as you can see here, this is one of the web pages. So we can just go to their home page. We created only one page, whereas in an actual website, there will be multiple pages. So that's something that we need to think about. Some of the important things that caught my eye in this website are very nice pictures. As you can see here, like a very prominent pictures, colorful pictures of high resolution. So this is something that the businesses have to do, and especially if it is some kind of a tourism based, or if it is like a destination. Newport Vineyards may be a destination shopping place that the people want to go there all the way just to go to that particular business. So in that case, it is very important that we have a really good website. And then right now, coronavirus is going on, so they are talking about picking up and shipping orders as well. So you have to recognize the needs of the time and immediately make changes to your website so that you can capture enough business. And that is something that kind of caught my eye. And then they have really good pictures, and this is a very interesting picture. And our students also put together these type of pictures. When it came
I was going to mention another point about this. It's located, this is a 2-lane road, one of the main 2-lane roads going up. But it's also with the main farmers market is right on its land, right next to it, and across the street from it is a where you can get flowers, a greenhouse, retail, upscale type place. If you were getting plants for flowers, and so it's kind of a little cluster. It's kind of a little, someplace it might be what was a hamlet. So it isn't just that in isolation. You have the vineyard with a restaurant. There's a couple of shops in the same building where you can get a snack type thing. Again, the florist, and then the Saturday farmers market. So they become kind of identified with the communities, not just an isolated restaurant sitting out in the middle of nowhere.
That's a really good point. Actually, when you are closer to some other providers, then you have a much better visibility. There will be a lot of foot traffic, and that additional foot traffic and the additional balls of ice, will bring in more people into our business. That's a really good point as well. And many of our stores, actually, there are a couple of students that are working on boutiques, boutiques for women's clothing, I believe, not just women's clothing, but many other products as well. There is another business that works on consignment shops. All of them will need a lot of visibility, and you have to choose your location wisely. That is an important lesson that I want the students to take away from listening to Dr. Brown right now.
And maybe to add on to that, we have that downtown Newport, which is just, it's only 20,000 people, but people, like at the Vineyard, it would be like a Saturday morning destination for families. And so they may browse, they may not know exactly what they want, but they may go down the street or out at the Vineyard. They may go to the 2 or 3 shops, have a brunch, and make it kind of their Saturday and or Sunday. So that's part of it too, having kind of an experience.
Yeah. Actually, there is in fact a boutique shop, boutique cottages and suites. It's not a boutique shop. Places to stay, restaurants. So these are the things that people have to recognize and ask themselves, where are they located, and how they can take advantage of the visitor traffic, whether they are going after the visitors coming from faraway places, or they are going to depend only upon the local population for their primary customer base. That is a good thing. So just to quickly go back to this Newport Vineyards, when I went to this wedding section, I was very impressed with how they had integrated videos and other things as part of their web page itself. So here is a high quality picture of a floral arrangement, and we have one team that is working on floral arrangements primarily for marriages, so they can take some lessons from that, they can learn something. And this is where there were lots of videos that were kind of moving on, and all of a sudden that has gone away. So let us see whether we can catch it up again. So we go to weddings, and it says refined, rustic, natural romance, distinctly unique. So that is their tagline, and I'm sure our teams also have those kind of taglines. And for some reason, there were some videos that were moving along, and now it is not showing up. That is the major thing I wanted to mention. So let us see, there is one question, I believe, on my screen. So let me click on that. Flowers can be refrigerated at 33 degrees to stop the life cycle. Flowers can actually last longer than just a couple of days. Most flowers are from Ecuador, Holland, Colombia. Local flowers are starting to become a trend in the floral industry. Okay, she is essentially sharing her comments. Actually, that is to me privately. I didn't know that it was not for the class. I just saw that. Anyways, you have to think about how you can provide this product, whether it is flowers or something else. And you can see how they have arranged their photos, how they are explaining what that is all about. And also, this is an important thing that I wanted students to note. When you are actually trying to tell that you are a very favorite location, that the customer should come to you, you have to give them evidence that it is of high quality. It is not just you that is saying that your business is good, even the other people are thinking that your business is good. And that is where this Newport Vineyards, they are talking about how they received awards in 2017 and 19 for the best weddings, Couples Choice Awards. So having these type of certifications will improve the credibility for your business. That is something that I would like the students to take away from listening to all these type of different businesses in Newport. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and there's one more element, the land trust. They were the owner, the family that has the Newport Vineyards was one of the first to I don't know if they donated or sold the development rights, so that where that vineyard is, people can walk around and so on. That's protected from being converted into development, that kind of thing. And around the edges of the vineyard are quite a few trails and so on. So that's another thing that people coming there might do. They might come for might go for a walk on the trails, and then they come to the vineyard for a meal or to buy some things afterward, that kind of thing. So it's the spirit of it. So when they have an annual meeting of the land trust, the people involved with this would be recognized as one of the key places.
Yeah.
And the Sweetberry Farm right near there, the people who might come here, they might also go nearby a mile or two to Sweetberry Farm, which has kind of a country store. It's fruit trees, pick your own. So it isn't just the one place. There's 2 or 3 places people might go if they're there for the day. They might have come down even from Boston for this, or from Providence area, fairly fair distance.
Okay, Sweetberry Farm, Rhode Island. And these type of shops, when they are able to have a website and they improve their visibility, and by increasing more and more visibility, by attracting more attention, they will be able to get more visitors, say on a Saturday, Sunday during normal times, not necessarily during coronavirus. And I always look for these type of places to visit during the weekend. So if your business kind of has that ability that you can invite people over at a particular time, which is probably true in case of consignment stores or in case of boutique stores, you should try to do that. And here also, I like the way how they have put together very colorful photos. And moreover, on top of all these things, there are very important things that you have to recognize from this particular web page on Sweetberry Farm. They have a blog. So why do you have a blog? Because you will become the subject matter expert. People will start coming to your website just to kind of get some extra tips on how to make cakes. In this case, it's Sweetberry Farm, so they are probably using berries to bake cakes, I believe. Or there is a culinary artist, Chef Doreen, or head chef Brian. So when you are becoming these type of people, I mean, if they are able to bring in these type of influencers as part of your business, then that will also increase your credibility among your customers, and you will be able to sell more. You will be able to take care of your customers in a much better manner. I just want to emphasize. And also, we talked about having a board of advisors. These are the people that can serve as board of advisors for this business. Which includes, as you can see here, Chef Tim is a mentor, teacher, and salad czar. Or Chef Scott, he is the king of comfort food. So these people know what they are doing, and I would encourage that these people should serve on the board of advisors for this business or for some other related business. So every student team in our class, I would like to know who serves on your board of advisors. Who is that kitchen cabinet of advisors? Even if you don't have a board, an informal way how you can communicate with your kitchen cabinet of advisors will really help. Dr. Brown, have you seen those type of advisory committees for small businesses that you have worked with?
Not structured like that so much, quite like Sweetberry. When you go there, it's never quite sure who's in charge. It's Jan and his wife. They used to, by the way, they were raising Christmas trees 25 years ago when I came here. And that kind of declined. They still sell Christmas trees, but it doesn't, they went to this higher value added. They are, again, one of the original leaders of the land trust. And so I think what it's more like, I think they all, I don't know what their business arrangements are, like the bakery part. The best pies in town, if I want to go, I'd go there. But I think the pies and the bakery may be like a, not so much like a committee. It may be almost like a separate sub company. I'm not sure what the arrangement is.
Okay.
So it somehow it kind of flows together. It seems to flow together well without being smacking of a corporate type of environment. And yet it's my impression is efficient and responsive to changing demands and that kind of thing. It's a stopping off place. If you have a tour, if the land trust was giving a tour in a bus, that's where they would stop at the end, maybe to have a snack and that kind of thing. Maybe they should have more of a structure, I don't know, but it's, and again, this couple that owns it, itself do not have kids, I don't believe. So there's another whole question as they get older, what's going to be the inheritance?
Yeah,
And
exactly. These are all very important topics. Okay, we may not be able to give you clear answers, but I want the students to understand that these are type of issues, these are the type of businesses, these are the type of developments and changes that are happening in, say, Rhode Island businesses, and they will have some type of implication for businesses in Ohio. You may not be running a vineyard, you may not be running a berry farm, but still those issues, transition issues, tax issues, land trust, all of them will have some small type of, small amount of implication for your business. As I was telling you that this business also got a whole bunch of awards, and they are prominently displaying it here because that improves the credibility that this is a high quality product. This is a business that I should visit, say if I am traveling in that area as a visitor. So these are some nice things that I noted there. So anyways, these are the major things I wanted to highlight. So running a business is generally, it takes a lot of effort, and I'm sure the students are feeling it when they develop their business plan, when they write the executive summary. At the same time, it can also be very lot of job satisfaction, because you are dealing with people, you are making sure that your customers' needs are met. So it can give you a lot of satisfaction and be successful. If you are able to create a successful business, it will really take care of you, not just you, but quite a few people, your employees, even your families. And Dr. Brown shared a whole bunch of examples of how all these families and how these businesses are able to thrive, and also how they need to transition from one generation to another generation. Dr. Brown, I have a quick question. Have you heard of any businesses where somebody started it and they are going to retire, so the employees of that business are going to buy it from them? Have you seen examples of that in your area?
Well, we actually, the best coffee shop, it's a mile from me here, Custom Coffee. It's a walking distance from me. It's a retired Navy fellow, and he roasts his own coffee. Actually, has downstairs in the back, he has another fellow who is sort of a separate company who does the grinding, and they actually have a coffee roasting school in the back. But if I were going to talk with, say one of our state legislators or some leaders, they would say, let's meet at the Custom Coffee. So he's getting, I don't think he has kids in his wife. So what he's done is his employees are buying, he's given them opportunity to buy into the Custom Coffee. And you can, and they also feel like it's their business, that they're not just employees. So when you go there, you have that feeling, and he says he doesn't even dare go into the coffee bar part of it, that they're kind of in charge of it himself. He takes pride that it's running on their own, right? He's over there doing other things. So that's not a farm example, but it's one where you see that kind of a spirit. And
that's fine. And that's a really good point as well. It's not just farm businesses. In fact, many of our students are interested in non-farm businesses. So this is a really good sidetrack. Try to identify some examples from the non-farm area. As you mentioned, they are having some type of roasting business, it seems. And so this is another small business, another way how employees can contribute as well as take over the business when the employee is, when the employer or when the owner is actually going to retire. I have seen a lot of those kind of changes as well. In Worcester, near our campus, there is one business. It's called Prenke Romick. Let me just quickly open it up. He has come to my class and talked about that in Worcester. And this was started by two people. One is a technology person, another is a faculty member in a university. And both, they started the business. At the time of retiring, they ended up selling it to their own employees. This is another example, just a couple of miles from our campus. So there are various ways how you can continue your business, how you can gain visibility for your business. And we should thank Dr. Brown for sharing a lot of examples. And this is the way how I intended this class to be, various examples to see what others are doing and what you can do for your business to improve visibility for your business so that you can improve the business success and you can develop a proper strategy for long-term success. So thank you very much, Dr. Brown. Any final thoughts or words before we let the students go?
No, I'm very impressed. I have posted here your business model canvas, so I've been learning too on this. This has helped me to focus on my own thinking on what the farms hit and what some of the vulnerabilities are. One mention on the specialty vegetable farms and so on. And that has to do with the soil conservation aspect. You know, where you are, some of the most beautiful pictures from the 1930s when soil conservation first started, and you have the contours and terrace. Well, I worry a little bit about some of the farms that have gone into intensive vegetables. They're kind of maybe in a little watershed or a little slope, but they're tending to grow the same vegetables on the same place year after year, even though it's a small patch. And as you know, when you have a slope, that soil is eroding down and some of the nutrients into a little creek may not show up. But after so many years, so there's some thinking maybe we need to give more attention to, so they rotate around and maybe even have some of the veggie patches more on contours and that kind of thing. That's kind of thing that's on my mind a little bit, the natural resource. You know, a small watershed starts right at your drain pipe in your house and goes down. It may not be like a big valley, but that kind of mentality, I think, could well come into the picture a little more strongly on some of these operations.
Yeah, that's a really good point. We have one team that is working on custom harvesting, and they are providing various types of services in the fields, and conservation is a very important topic for them. When they go into the farmers' fields, how are they going to take care of the farmers' fields? You know, like not make sure that there is not much erosion, not much some other type of leaching, I believe, like a fertilizer leaching and those kind of things. And also ensure that there is proper drainage. That way, they need to think about all these things. And many of our students are sophomores and some of them are juniors. As they progress through their careers, they will be thinking about these type of topics, these type of issues, and that experience will make them a lot more knowledgeable as they move forward. So thank you very much. Questions from the students? We are actually out of time. We are like 3 minutes over the limit.
Oh, okay.
So thank you very much, Dr. Brown. I really appreciate. Any questions from the students? Any thoughts, questions? I hope, okay, there is some chat message that came. One student said, thank you. So thank you, Dr. Brown. I appreciate that. So thank you very much. And please feel free to send me any of your questions. I have shared your website link to our students. So if they have any questions, they will surely contact you and they will get in touch with you to know more about Rhode Island. I don't know, I should have asked the students how many of them visited Rhode Island. I might have just driven through that. One student says, thanks for these examples. They make me want to visit Rhode Island. So you made a positive impression, Dr. Brown. Thank you very much.
Well, I've enjoyed it. Well, this is a pleasure to interact with you. And especially you came from South India where I worked also, so I relate to that too. Okay. We have a lot of good ideas going on there that we could pick up here in the U.S. Also, there's some innovation.
Yeah, so I mean, you have a lot of emphasis on international ag economics and those kind of topics as well. So that is a nice thing as well. So anyways, the students are logging out. You are very welcome to log out. The other students, if you have any questions, please let me know. I will send you some emails with regard to the finals and other things, okay? So did you enjoy talking to our students, Dr. Brown?
No, this is good. As I say, it got me to focus, look at our own farms in a different light, and to relate to you folks in Ohio. That's good. And I'm thinking when I was a sophomore at UConn, um, the- hoping they can have some experience getting to know farmers better themselves. When I was a sophomore at UConn during the Easter vacation, I was thinking the rural sociologists did a study of dairy farms in Connecticut. And so we were hired for $1 an hour to interview farmers about their labor problems. Labor costs were getting higher, and that could happen here. And so I learned a lot in 1 week by just interviewing a sample of farmers in Connecticut about their labor problems.
Oh, wow.
And so if the your students have a chance to do things, maybe it's doing things like the census, something just to get in to talk to people firsthand informally. I think that can be very valuable experience. Would you agree to that kind of thing too? Maybe in India you had the same experience as a student. Did you have the opportunity to get out to interview people, and like maybe they didn't do that approach?
That's a good question. We did have something called meetings with experts for this semester, but unfortunately, because of coronavirus, the students could not go and talk to quite a few people. They did contact, they were able to communicate over the phone in the months of January and February, but after that, coronavirus kind of took over, so they haven't done much. So in fact, that is an assignment due tomorrow, which is bonus for them. Where they can get some points for sharing, for interacting with customers, with say experts in their fields. So
yeah, well, keep the eyes and ears open. Maybe is a way from a distance. You can do that in the meanwhile, right? So as you walk around. Well, best wishes to you all, you folks, and it's wonderful to know they have another generation that's coming along that's interested in this thing. And that's the other thing I like, your emphasis of your business planning. A lot of people talk in general from the outside, but you folks have had to really think about the nitty gritty and put some numbers, some guesstimates on these things about what the real costs and returns are and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what we have asked the students to do. In fact, the business plan will be due next week. I'm giving some feedback, and instead of writing too many pages, we decided to keep it very short. They are going to write 2 pages of executive summary, but then a lot more pages of planning, which already happened during the semester, in the beginning parts of the semester. So anyways, thank you very much. I really appreciate. You are welcome to log out now. We are very thankful for this. I will share. I took a lot of notes here, actually. So I will be sending out a summary to the students and also send the video link as well. And I will also share the links with you in case if you are interested. Thank you now.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you very much.
Yep, bye.
Right.
Yep. Students, if you are still logged in, if you have any questions, please let me know, okay? I'll